when this was New Spain, part of what Mexico later became, the wine that came here, you remember the Spaniards came up here first of all in New Mexico. The very first time they touched here was in 1538, and Coronado came up here in 1540. During that early occupation, the crown had an edict against wine growing here because they couldn't find a way to tax the alcohol or tax the wine. So they forbade it. They wanted to force the colonists to buy their wine from Spain. Well, the guys here revolted. They said, we don't think so. We are going to smuggle in some grapevines from Spain, which they did. And in 1629, there was a young Franciscan monk named Fray Marcos de Zuniga, and he planted the first grapevines in a little town called, it was a small mission south of Socorro, about 15 miles. And so they planted the grapes in 1629, and in 1633 they had their first harvest, and they started making wine then. For almost 200 years, the wine industry grew and grew and grew here in New Mexico. And it's interesting that it was among the top natural resources produced in New Mexico for almost 200 years. When I was in my mid-30s, I started making wine here in the valley of the Rio Grande, and I founded Casa Rondeña in 1995. The main issues we have here is not water. Grapevines use very little water, relatively speaking. It's drastic changes in climate, or I should say in temperature. Because where most vineyards are about 5,000 feet above sea level here, we deal with drastic changes and rapid changes in temperature and humidity, and so we lose a few vines every year. And we're learning slowly what the best vines are for this area. 10 or 20 years before a winery really, we're well established now. We're known as one of the top producers in the southwestern United States, but it's taken 15 years to get there.